Oh, would you look at that? '03 Pro X440. Well, that's not what today's video is on. You're gonna have to stay tuned for this one. Aha! This XC7 is back in the garage yet again. This thing, although I know it looks really freaking rough, right? It's actually pretty freaking nice. Straight tunnel. It's already got the traction devices on there. According to this, it's got 3,300 miles. It does have Fox shocks all the way around. Look at that pretty rad torque arm. That's what you see every day. Somebody paid it at some point. And it is big time studded up. I know, gross. There's frozen stuff to the track. But if I remember right, there's, I can't remember if it's 144 or 196 studs. But regardless, a bunch, and yes, they're on the outside as well. Yeah, this thing will be a certified traction getter when she's done. Has the newer style wheel with brake mash cylinder, froze up, doesn't move. This had a 700 in it when I bought it. I promptly pulled 700 out and used it for parts for other projects, and found a broken motor mount. And that was pretty much the end of this project for that time. But I bought a new motor mount. So we're gonna go ahead and swap that motor mount out real quick, and then I'm gonna explain what the hell we're doing with this old beat up looking XC700. If you guys have never replaced one of these motor mounts, there are 3 tabs on it. So I got one there, one over here, and one over there. And you just take a screwdriver, you'll get on the end of that tab, and then tap it with the hammer, and it just spins right out. That's all there is to it. You can also use an air hammer if you got one. I have one, but I'm off to just do it this way because it's quick and easy. It really doesn't take but 15 seconds to pull that out. So, okay, just like that, the old one's removed and the new one installed. Super easy. Took maybe a minute total time. But with that said, I guess if I really cared, I could clean this thing up some more. But I really don't care that much, so let's get ready to put a motor in this thing. Okay, little 600, big block, sitting in the chassis now. Ha! I know, why wouldn't I throw a 700 in it? Well, I don't know either. This thing's just sitting in my garage, so I figured I'd use it. There's some new exhaust gaskets on it. Ignore the piece of wood, that's my wood. That I used to help balance the motor while I'm connecting the coolant hose underneath that water pump. And yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go find the nuts, throw them on the motor mounts, and this thing will be secured in place. And yeah, then we just gotta throw on some carbs and good stuff like that. I gotta find a throttle cable. I don't remember doing it, but apparently I borrowed the throttle cable and everything from this thing for I don't even know what. So I'm gonna have to dig up a throttle cable. I'm sure I got a whole pile of them laying around somewhere. And I also have to find the carburetors for this. I don't even know. I pulled this motor out of a sled last winter, and there is no telling where the carburetors have found their home at. So, yeah, that'll be fun, but we'll get it figured out. If not, I'll just pull up the specs for the jets and needles and all that, and the pilots, and I'll set up a set of carbs for it. But hopefully I'll find the ones that came out of it. We'll see. I'll be honest, it's almost hard to believe that there was a time I did this stuff without ratchet wrenches. I mean, even cheap ones, you know, freaking amazing. Game changer. Makes this so much faster. Okay, after a whole lot of digging through my bucket of carburetors, I have settled on these. These are the ones that came off this sled, and I remember that because it had an extra little port off the bowls, which were plugged. Not sure what or why those are there, because my other ones, they all have the provisions for that, but none of them were drilled out for it. Again, don't know. Maybe it's just a quick way to drain. I'm really not sure. But that's how they came with the sled that the 600 motor came out of, not this sled. So at least I remembered that, and I was able to find these things. So they should be ready to go. I also did find a really nice set of throttle cables. I don't remember if those are the correct size. I think those are 6s, and I think 600, I want a 6.5. I'm gonna have to look into that. and also dug up some choke plunger cable and all that, and a tether. So kind of collecting my stuff and getting ready to start plugging things in and making some more progress on this ugly old girl here. I really need to find a hood. If anybody in Alaska has a half decent hood for like a 97, 98 twin wedge, that would be like super cool. I'd like to fix this one up, but the hinge is broken and I don't know if I'd be able to effectively fix this hood. I could try, but I don't know if it would hold up. So it might be easier just to find a whole nother hood, because I do have brand new XC600 decals and everything, and I'd really hate to waste them on a turd of a hood like this. Okay, carburetors are in. Ran some throttle cables. Fully functional. I do, however, need to throw one choke plunger in, and I have this little guy. It seems to be stuck in my clutch. Aha! I need to run this down here to my oil pump, get that hooked up, and throttle, carbs, and fuel should be relatively close to done. Minus the fact I do not have a fuel tank on this. It is what it is. But we're getting there one step at a time, boys. Hell yeah. Alrighty, got my oil cable ran to my oil pump. And let's see if I can show you guys. When you do this, factory setting, the line here will be lined up with the line on this. I know it's hard to see, but I have mine set just a tad rich. So I'll be pumping a little bit more oil than stock, but that's fine by me because personally, I'm a big fan of oil. I think oil keeps these things alive, and yeah. So next thing I gotta do is pop one of these bolts out, probably run this line through this, and then this tab gets mounted to the recoil. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that knocked out. Oh, and also I did see somebody comment about the oil line routing on the updated versions, or how they're done in 98 compared to the originals on 1997. So 1997, your little fittings on your oil pump are pointing down, or the hoses are routed down, and they go under the recoil and then to the case, whether it be right here or the one on the PTO side, and there's still one going to the fuel pump. However, in later 97, 98, they updated it. All the 98s came this way. The oil lines are ran upwards. You got this one that goes straight to the case here. This one runs up to your reed cages and is has these mounts here, just holding it in place, which it still goes to the same spot over there on the PTO side. And then this one comes up and over and runs straight to the fuel pump. So nothing is going under there. The reason they did that is because there were issues with oil lines wearing through and having leaks. So there you go. That's the updated oil line routing, which was stock in 98. But 97s were not like this. They went underneath. 97s look cleaner, but more prone to poking a hole in your oil line. So there you go. Okay, like I said, what the goal with this sled is to use up parts I have sitting around the garage. And originally, I shouldn't say originally, but this did have an XCR style seat and tank on it. However, I don't really want to use that style seat and tank on it because I have that seat, which needs cleaned up. It's not perfect, has tape on it, whatever. It's been sitting in my garage for like 2 years. I want to put it on this sled and put parts to use that I have sitting around. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this bracket off right there because that is 100% unneeded for this seat setup. And oh shoot, I just noticed, because like I'm pretty sure this sled's been retunneled at some point. It doesn't have the snaps up here to hold the front of the seat down. Ah, shoot. That complicates things a little bit. Well, seeing as there's no snaps at the front of the tunnel for an XCC, there's also no holes in the back of the tunnel to put the bolts in. I'm kind of curious if at some point somebody swap the 440 tunnel on this thing. I don't freaking know. But anyways, this seat's gonna be here temporarily, but I'm probably gonna put the XCR seat tank style back on it at some point. But for right now, just get it running. This will be good enough. Just sitting here loose and all, but it is what it is. I'm trying to jam this thing out and get it out of my garage so I can make room for something else that I'm super excited to work on. So I just threw a roller secondary clutch on it just because it was the first clutch I seen that had the keyway in it. I don't know. I'm not sure where the secondary clutch that came on this went, but at this point, it's just make it run. That's the goal. Okay, got a bolt in secondary. Put a brand new belt on it. Yes, I know it's sitting low. Once this thing makes a couple revolutions, that belt will pop back up. Air box is in, CDI is on, everything's plugged in. I have been absolutely dying to try this can. It is a Snow Stuff Roam Pack. I've had it sitting around for a few years, and yeah, really excited to hear what that sounds like. I think all I really have to do is put a pipe on this thing, and then we can start it. And I found a little rubber mount there for the pipe. So I'm gonna go ahead, grab a pipe, throw it on here, and let's see if we can get this thing to fire up. I almost forgot a huge step. I don't have any guide for my recoil rope, so you know me, love my little billet things, and these are extra cheap. So yeah, gonna go ahead and toss this in real quick. Super simple. There you go, right there. And then you pop a rivet in. I gotta take a rivet out, but yeah, easy. Just like that, done. Hell yeah. All right, tossed a bunch of coolant in it. Did not burp it yet, but that usually comes after it starts. I did put a little bit of pre-mixed fuel in the cylinders, so I'm really hoping this thing's going to pop right off. I'm gonna try to set this up right here. Let's see. Something like that. Well, hopefully you guys can see. I'm gonna see if this thing will start, and if it starts, I'm gonna see if it shuts off. Cylinder kill switch works. Let's try throwing a couple fresh plugs in this thing. Either we got a fuel issue or spark plug issue. Okay, I actually suspect there's something goofy. I heard a weird noise, and so I pulled the exhaust back off. We're getting ready to pull the recoil, and we're gonna inspect the water pump belt and also the water pump itself. So maybe I'm just hearing things, but it's better to be safe and cautious and double check than it is to just keep trying to get this thing to run. So yeah, see what we find. Okay, the belt looks great. However, no play in the pump, but there's a tight spot for sure. So either the bearings are going out or there's something wrong on the impeller side. Well, you know what, guys? I knew I should have checked this water pump before I put the motor in the sled and did all this work to it. But you know what? It's okay. Because my goal was to get parts off the garage floor, and I have successfully done that. There's the whole motor, carbs, airbox, clutches, seat, all this stuff is on my floor, taking up room here for like the last year or two. And luckily it's in the sled, and it can be, oh yeah, not to mention throttle cables, choke cables. I mean, all this stuff is just laying around in the garage. It's all consolidated into a sled now, and I can haul it off into the yard and let it sit either to its forever demise or until I get back to working on this thing. So it's really not that big of a deal. I'm not too upset about it. I know I should have checked it before I did all this work, but you know, it's all good. We'll get back to it after these upcoming other projects. So stay tuned, guys. Till next time.